Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for taking some time to join us today. We are really excited to be meeting with you and sharing a little bit more information about MGT. We're really looking forward to working with you. We always love doing this webinar. I'll say for my part, it's one of my favorite 30-minute time slots of the whole week. This is where we get to connect with the agents who are most engaged, most interested in working together, learning about MGT, and I hope we can be a great partner to you.
I love that you say that it's for your part, Dan. I would completely agree with you, and we'd be on the same page, except for that like 30 minute nap that I sneak in every now and again. That might be my favorite part of the day, but nobody knows about that one. Guys, my name is Jason. I'm head of distribution here at MGT Insurance, and I couldn't say it any better than Dan. We really do look forward to this because we get a chance to interact with you, our agents. We have like to have a lot of fun on these demos. Dan does a fantastic job of presenting to you what it's like to work with MGT, and we're all really excited to have you here.
And speaking of interaction and engagement, all along the way, we love to take questions. So please don't hold back anything on your mind. Please feel welcome to use the chat feature. Should be right around the bottom, middle of your screen, maybe right around here, just depending on how you got things set up on your screen. A little speech bubble that says chat right underneath, pretty self-explanatory. Use that, and you can instant message back and forth with us. We'll take questions as we go, and then we always wrap up with a Q&A session as well. So whatever you do today, don't log out of this just thinking, wow, I wish I would have asked this or that, or if only I knew this, my life would be so much easier. Get those questions out and see if you can stump us.
That's key, right? The trickier the better, because I'm always looking for ways to stump Dan, and not very many of our weekly demos have had a chance to do it. I think it's only ever happened one time in the year plus we've been doing this. So
Yep. One
get
time
those
that I'll
tough
admit to
questions out.
anyway.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, for those of you who are already signed in, thank you also for being so on time. I like to give everybody another minute or so of grace just to get logged in and check everything out. And start off with a question for you all. Where I'm at in Richmond, Virginia, the weather's starting to get pretty nice, starting to get some more opportunities to go outside. When you have a chance to hang out outdoors, are you a beach person or a mountain person? Use that chat feature to let us know.
I'm gonna steal what somebody did. Dan, we gotta open this question of like I'm a forest person. We had one of these a few weeks ago, and I love the beach. I love the mountains even more. I live here in Colorado where the mountains are just absolutely gorgeous. Get out to them as often as I can. But I'm originally from the Midwest where the forests are dense and you can just go hide in the trees on any given weekend going hiking and like open camping. I miss that. I miss it so much because we don't have that as much here in Colorado. I love the mountains, miss the forests. How about you, man?
Oh yeah, I'm lucky where I'm at. We're kind of right halfway in between the mountains and the beach, so I don't have to choose. If I did, I probably lean more on the mountain side of things. And looking at the chat, looks like we got a couple beach folks. Funnily enough, I have found that insurance agents in general really are beach people. I don't know, must be something about the sun and the sand. Well, wherever you fall on that divide, what we are going to show you today is how you can get more time out of your office to go enjoy the beach or the mountains or the forest, the high desert, wherever you like to be. Spend time with your family, spend time doing hobbies, but not have to make the trade-off of selling less insurance to get there. So let me go ahead now and I'll share my screen so that we can all be on the same page. With MGT, the era of Neo Insurance has arrived. Many of you are probably sitting at your desks asking, Dan, what the heck is Neo Insurance? And don't worry, we are the first Neo insurer. So many are not familiar with that term just yet. But to put it in context for you, you can kind of think of us in the wider picture of the industry, where you have legacy, old school insurance companies And they do great things, right? Some of these carriers have existed for 200 years, even 400 years. And that whole time, they've been protecting people's livelihoods, helping make sure a bad day doesn't turn into a bad life. All those good things we like to promote about the industry. But as they've grown, as they've evolved, top of mind, number one goal has not always been to make things fast and easy. And a word we use a lot here is delightful. You've had recently a lot of insure tech companies joining the industry, kind of carving out a new niche for themselves. There's a lot of different ways these companies can be set up, and we don't have to get too into the weeds. The really important thing to understand is that they tend to not be the actual insurance company. They're a middleman or, kind of intermediary, maybe a fronting company, MGA, MGU, wholesaler, et cetera. And they put a nice layer of technology on top of that legacy experience. But because they are not the carrier, they don't really have that full control of the process. It can mean sometimes that, they're not able to really make the entire soup to nuts workflow easy and intuitive for you. And that's where MGT is different. We're a carrier. We're rated A minus by AM Best. We stand behind the risks we underwrite through our platform. And because we're the carrier, we control the entire process from setting the rates and the appetite through quoting, binding, issuing, servicing, renewing, all the way out even to administering claims when those happen. And because we control the entire process, we can use technology to make it seamless and intuitive and really something that just feels honestly like you'd expect these days when there's so much modern technology kind of focused on that speed and ease of doing business. And, ultimately, that's the difference in experience that your clients will get that will reflect very well on you and keep them happy, keep them coming back, and keeping them sending you referrals. So a couple quick facts about MGT. As mentioned, we are rated A minus by AM Best, so we've got an excellent financial strength to support potential claims. We are writing all of our policies on 100% ISO language business owners package forms. And because we're using the most legally tested forms on the market, I always like to highlight that if there ever is a claim, I know we don't have the TV commercials yet. Unless you live in a really nerdy household, we're not necessarily a household name, but you can still feel comfortable and confident. If anything happens, we'll be here to stand behind that claim, and the policy forms will respond the way you'd expect them to. What I think you will also all really appreciate is we built a modern zero friction process. Working with MGT, you will never have to fill out an Accord form. You will never have to do supplemental applications. And we've really built the entire workflow to eliminate those 3 week long back and forth email chains with underwriting teams trying to firm up additional information and terms. In fact, over 85% of our policies started out as quotes and then were bound and issued in 3 minutes or less. All quotes through our platform are fully bindable. So as long as the information on the application is complete and accurate, you can take those quotes to the bank. It's not just setting you up for an underwriter review. We do also have a wide footprint. We are more or less coast to coast today, admitted in over 40 states and Washington, D.C. So I'll put some numbers up on the screen. We're actually going to have to update this slide though, now that we can look back at the first quarter this year. This is just my favorite statistic to share off this whole page. But we had in the last quarter as well, 100% uptime. So anytime somebody needed to access our platform to quote, bind, issue, renew, answer questions, download documents, make payments, make endorsement requests, etc. The platform was up, it was online, it was ready to help move your business forward. We weren't making people wait on us to go back and, plug the servers back in. Now, talking appetite, We are very focused on small business. Commercial is 100% of what we do. We're writing over 300 classes of business, including artists and contractors, professional and medical offices, retail stores, wholesalers and distributors. We'll write your barber shops, beauty parlors, nail salons, bakeries, grocery stores, convenience stores, uh, restaurants up to 50% alcohol sales can all be a great fit with MGT. We are again focused on small businesses. For us, that means up to 3 million in revenue for most risks, up to 5 million revenue for professional and medical offices. We'll write businesses with up to 100 employees, up to 30,000 square feet. Although there can be some nuance there, that should be a pretty solid rule of thumb to use. Up to 2 million total insured value per location, with up to 4 locations per policy. And don't hold yourself back and limit yourself. A lot of times people start to learn our appetite. They see the way we work. They think, oh, I can only use this for the most nice, neat, perfect risks that have ever hit my desk. But the reality is, we can be a little flexible on some tougher cases. If you've got new ventures, businesses with no prior insurance, coverage lapses, claims history, those all can still be eligible. And so I'd encourage you to submit those risks to us as well. Then looks like we got a question here. How about robotic companies? It's really interesting. I think that it would kind of depend on what they're doing and how they're set up. If they have a like physical storefront, I think we could probably take a pretty good shot at that. If they are manufacturing, if they're just selling strictly online, in those cases, we might not be the best fit for that risk. Yeah, manufacturers, that would be out of appetite for us. We're really more focused right now on kind of like your storefront-based retail type operations. Got another one, single family dwellings used as short-term rental. That would be out of appetite for us. In fact, I know this comes up a lot. Any kind of lessor's risk right now is out of appetite for us. But one thing you'll find with MGT, we're very focused on growing to meet your needs and the needs of your clients. And I would say stay tuned. We might have some exciting updates to share on lessor's risk later this year.
Yeah, and if I can really quick, Dan, in case there's anybody joining us from the Oregon Mutual side of things, the appetite is slightly different, right? So please make sure that you specify that if that's the case. And like Dan said, it's just because we went to market with some things for the Oregon Mutual side a little bit sooner. We're getting those out there, and then new business for everybody, including them, is going to be changing as we grow and learn. So, like Dan said, keep an eye out.
And then great question from Paul here. Payroll for contractors. So minimum payroll 30,000, and I think we could go up to what, 300,000 in payroll?
Let me double check. Because they're literally the only ones that are rated off of payroll. I should have that memorized, but
Mhm.
let me verify and I'll get back to you, Dan, if you want to keep going.
Awesome. But great question on the contractors. Let's see, trucking company or pool service companies. Both of those would actually be out of appetite for us. But we do, just side note here, we do write pool supply retailers and wholesale distributors. So we may not be a great fit for like the pool service companies, but whoever's selling them their supplies, we could write that.
Yeah, yeah, and similar to what Dan was talking about with LROs and habitational, we're looking at adding auto later this year as well. We're building out a product right now. It's going to go to certain segments. First of all, we're going to test it, and then we're going to keep continue to roll it out from there. So, really great question. I can't promise you the trucking is going to be a part of that because we all know how much more difficult that can be. But we may eventually head toward that direction. We're going to start with commercial auto
Mhm.
in like passenger type vehicles first. And I looked it up, Dan, and you were 100% correct. 300,000.
Yeah, that's right. So let's talk about coverage because that's really important. Oh, another great one though, just before we proceed. Alex says the quoting process is amazing. We didn't even pay him to say that. So
That's
thank you
right.
so much. And I would encourage you all, if you've got a second screen going, fire up the platform, see if you run into any questions and ask those live. We'll be here and happy to help. So just focusing on coverage because that's an important part of the equation. I get caught all the time saying we just write a BOP or we only write BOPs. The reality is, yes, all of our policies are on BOP forms, but there's a lot more than just the BOP. We've got some great coverage enhancements here. They're on your screen. I'm not going to read all of them off. I will highlight a couple important ones, though. We do have professional liability and hired non-owned auto available. The hired non-owned auto I've found is very impactful for artists and contractors. Can be very impactful for restaurants as well. For restaurants, they qualify as long as they're not doing self-delivery. Delivering through apps is fine, just not their own employees to qualify for the hired non-owned auto. Professional liability is available for barbershops, beauty parlors, nail salons, and photographers. That's another just really nice coverage to have because their operations can kind of blur the line on what's professional versus general liability. And so just knowing they have the coverage, huge peace of mind. If we've got anybody joining us from monopolistic workers' comp states, we do have stopgap coverage available. I always like to mention that because I had to learn what stopgap coverage is. And so I just feel like it's important to be able to use that knowledge.
You did great with it too, Dan.
We do have some different optional coverages and sublimits. Now, the great thing about the way our platform is set up is it will only show you bindable options for these optional coverages and sublimits. So any quotes that you produce through the platform, you can feel confident that you can stand behind those when you offer them. We do have some coverage enhancements, especially for restaurants. They've got higher coverage for contamination and spoilage available, that higher non-owned auto we talked about. They've got customer auto liability if they have valet operations, stock protection, some premises security limits. So really good discussion points that you may be able to use as a wedge if, the policy they've got currently doesn't offer some of these features. Contractors as well have coverage for tools and equipment, which I think can be really helpful to have just on one policy, which is one premium to keep up with, one policy number to put on the certificate. They've got contractors installation coverage as well, which can cover things like materials and tools at job sites. And so let's go ahead now and take a look at how everything works. And before I jump into the actual quoting platform, I always like to show off one of the most helpful features of our website, which is the BOP Appetite tab. So if you're following along on another screen, go to mgtinsurance.com and then click that BOP Appetite tab. That'll take you into our appetite page. You can see a map of all the states that we're writing in, and then you can scroll down and you can communicate with our AI appetite assistant, Amy. Amy's a really great resource for you. I log in every morning, and a lot of times I'll see someone has been actually quoting and binding in our system at 3 in the morning. That's reality. And it is always impressive to me to see that. But also, if you try and call me with an appetite question at 3 in the morning, if you get an answer, it's going to be a groggy, like, huh? More than actual guidance. Whereas Amy is here, she's ready for you 24/7, 365, and can answer all kinds of questions. Like, let's say, can you write a barber shop that serves bourbon? And so even though that question is kind of tough, right? Like I've probably when I was early in my career, like that might have thrown me for a loop. There's some nuance to parse through there, but Amy actually can come back to us and give us a really solid answer and give us some guidance in just seconds so that we know will this be a good opportunity to work on a submission together or not. A lot of times she'll tell you, important things to consider to know going in, like rating details, kind of top level appetite guidelines. She knows our appetite availability on a class code and a state level. She's also able to keep context in a conversation. So if you have follow-up questions, they'll more than likely be answered correctly, keeping the context of the previous questions you've asked. So really helpful resource here. And I always like to show this off. The best part though happens when you click sign in and we get into the actual platform. A lot of good stuff available here. We've got options to start a new quote. You can use the user management tools to add new users to your agency. So if there are other people on your team who'd benefit from having access to the MGT platform, you actually can create accounts for them on your own. We've got the appetite guide as well if you want some more appetite information. And then along the sidebar, you've got options for policies, quotes, and user management, all pretty self-explanatory. So let's go ahead. We'll start a new quote together. And this is where I actually like to open this up to the floor. If anybody has a favorite restaurant, maybe a favorite barber shop or nail salon, maybe an accountant, a lawyer, another insurance agent you like to hang out with after work or send each other leads, shout out the name of that business in the chat. And I will actually be able to run a quote for that business using just their name. I can definitely run through like kind of test examples here, but I think it's more impactful, more interesting to see it with a business is familiar to you. So I'll leave it open for a minute. If anybody wants to kind of volunteer a business, we can run a quote for them, again, using just their name and MGT's technology.
Yeah,
Awesome. Looks like
there
we
we
got
go.
one here.
Yeah.
1816 Modern Kitchen in Corydon, Indiana. So let's start typing 1816. Found it pretty fast. Now, if they had a DBA, we could enter that. In my experience, almost every time it's able to identify the business here. Sometimes you'll have one that's really, really new, has no online presence at all. In those cases, it might not find them. And if that happens, you can click enter business info manually to enter in their details. I'll click continue. And what's happening now is it's actually starting to find the details of the business. We use dozens of different data vendors to collect over 3,900 different data points on this business, pre-fill a lot of the questions in the application, surface important information to our underwriting team, and ultimately help you get a quote back with minimal friction in just minutes. Oh, this is interesting. All right. So for some reason, it took me back to that first page here. The fun part about demoing is they might be making changes behind the scenes. And, sometimes Jason steals an engineer's parking spot in our office, and then they're like, oh, I'm going to mess with Dan this week and start making those updates behind the curtains during our demo block here.
It's
So let's
true.
see if we
My
can go
bad.
forward. And hey, now you all know it's not pre-recorded, right? So what you're seeing is really live. So we got a question in the chat, max BPP limit for restaurants. Technically up to 2 million would be the max. That's our max property TIV per location. I believe anything over 250,000 would refer, just so our underwriting team has a chance to get in touch with the risk, make sure it's something that they're comfortable supporting.
I was actively looking that up and you just knew the answer off the top of your head, Dan. It's incredible.
Got another one here, question about daycares. Daycares are out of appetite for us. And looks like it's sending me in loops here. So let me see if we can maybe do a little magic to at least show you what the quote flow looks like.
Yeah, and as Dan is talking about, this is our demo environment. We put all of our resources into the production environment, so that's why this one needs a little love sometimes. But I love Charles. Charles knows live demos never work as well as they do when no one's watching.
So true. So what I'll show you here is a quote that's already been completed. You might not get the full magical experience, but just know as we go along, our platform actually answers most of these questions for you as you go through it. And so even though this one has already been answered, it actually will look pretty similar when you're going through. First couple questions are always, have they had any claims? And do we need to add any building coverage? We'll click continue here to go into the eligibility section. The questions in the eligibility section will populate based on that specific class of business. So it's only going to ask you what's relevant to that risk. Generally, it's pretty streamlined. You can see this one here for a coffee shop has two entire questions. If you're working on something tougher like a convenience store, it might be up to seven. But I doubt you'll ever see huge long page when you get into this section. Now, I will say I've talked a lot about how it pre-fills these questions for you. Trust but verify as you go through. We have a lot of confidence in the technology, but nobody knows that risk better than you. It's not a race. Don't just click, 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 continue, continue, continue as fast as you can. Make sure you're reviewing those answers to know that they're accurate, and then you can make any updates that you need to make along the way too. So say, for example, it pre-filled 10 employees. We go here all the time. We know it's actually six. To update that is as easy as entering in the new information. We'll enter in their sales next, and then click continue. And then we'll enter in any business locations, or this is also the section that you can use to add additional insureds. So we'll answer this one eligibility question, and then to add any additional insureds, we'll just select the type of additional insured, enter in the information underneath, and then click continue, and that will just get attached to the quote. I always like to recommend doing this ahead of time if you know they'll need additional insureds. There can be an additional premium for them, and so it's nice to get that quote back at the end and know that's the full total premium to expect. Although we can, of course, always endorse on a policy after it's bound as well. So we'll click continue here. And then in the next page, this is where we've got all the building information. Now, this also will pre-fill for you, and it can be really neat to see. It can find the square footage, the type of siding or construction that it is, can detect automatic sprinklers. This submission is just for business personal property. If we have building coverage on there as well, it'll find additional details on the building too. I know that can take a huge amount of time, a lot of mental effort, bandwidth to go researching all that information. A lot of times applicants don't even know all that information about their building. And so to have kind of answers that you can feel pretty confident in to stand behind, ready to go, is just hugely helpful. And I hear from a lot of agencies we work with, they have teams and team members who are just getting started in commercial. And it's like having guide with them along the way who can sort of give them some advice and help them complete submissions they can feel good about. So we'll click continue here. If we needed to make any changes here, you can click the pen and notepad icon. If you need to add any additional locations, you can do that as well. This time, though, we'll keep everything just like it is. There's one last question. Do we want to opt out of TRIA coverage? We'll keep that on and click continue. And now it will load the quote for us. So in just a second here, we should have a premium back, and then we'll be able to make any adjustments. While it loads, I will show you one thing here, though, which is the chat support, the bottom right-hand corner of the page. If you ever run into unexpected technical issues, if you run into a referral and you're not quite sure why it referred, you can use the chat support here and get quick answers to your questions. Our chat support is available as well by phone. They're also available by email, but I do like to recommend using this chat support feature that's built into the website because it also will send them some important information like which exact quote you're looking at, which exact page you're on when you use it, and it'll just help them get you answers that much faster. So from here, we can scroll down. Now it looks like this one did refer, and I'm not surprised because like everything that could go wrong has gone wrong today. But if it had quoted for us, we could start to edit all these different sublimits and deductibles, really get that coverage dialed in to be a good fit for them, and
Dan,
then proceed through the binding process.
Dan, do you want me to pop in and approve the referral?
Oh yeah, can you do that?
Yep, I sure can. Give me just a moment.
That's what I'm talking about. Awesome. So a couple other things to
That's why
show
you
you
bring me
on this
along.
page.
Yeah.
I
That's
know
what
you
I'm
can come
here.
back next week.
That's what I'm here for.
So as we review this page, there's a couple other things I'll highlight as well. You can use this bar along the left-hand side to jump to specific sections of the quote. From here, we can also make sure the effective date is set appropriately. When you run a quote, it actually will use an effective date that is 45 days in the future. That's how long quotes through the platform are valid. And so just make sure that you are taking a look at this effective date before you jump into buying the policy.
You're approved. You'll just need to reset your page.
There we go. Awesome. So now let's take a look at how we can bind it. So we'll click continue to bind. We'll confirm again that effective date is accurate. And then we can enter in the policyholder's contact information. Now, quick tip here. I do work with a lot of agents who like to add their own contact information in this bottom CC field. You will get emails along the way, even if you don't do that. You can also track the progress through the platform itself, which I'll show you here in just a minute. But if you want that extra layer of security and comfort, you will not break anything if you just put your own email address in here as well. We'll click the box and then click confirm and send to insured. And then they will actually receive in just a couple seconds an email with a link to finalize the purchase of the policy. A lot of times I actually have that in my inbox, like before I even have a chance to fully explain it, it actually just hit. And so it is very fast if you're ever working with someone who's kind of on the other line and they're just ready to go. Um, what you'll see on this page, you actually have the ability to keep track of what's happening with that link once it's been sent out. This will update for us live as we go through. You can get some quick details about the insured if you needed to do a quick follow-up with them. And then in the upper right-hand corner, you can click this copy share link. That will copy the same link that gets emailed over to them. So if they come back to you and they say, hey, I didn't get that, or if you just want to copy it, put it in an email or text message or anything else you'd like to send them, you can. Or if they need an extra hand getting through the process, you can do what I'm about to do and just open up a new tab, paste it in, and then you'll see exactly what this workflow looks like for the policyholder too. So we'll select annual, quarterly, or monthly. Really nice feature here is you can click view payment schedule and you can see exactly when each installment will be and how much it will be for. Then we'll click continue. Now we had a question come in. I was waiting to address this. Do you allow retail agents to add a broker fee? So you may have noticed there's no field in there to do that. We don't facilitate it if you like to add a fee as part of your agency operations, there's nothing in our contract that would prohibit that. It's just the way each state regulates it can vary. And for us, it's just the best call to kind of step back and let you manage your business with that. If you wanted to make payment from the agency account and do a separate invoice to the policyholder, totally fine. But there's not a way to have it all on one invoice, one payment through MGT. So let's go ahead and finish this out. To do that, the next step is to e-sign the policy. So we'll accept our signature. Everybody likes how easy it is. Nice big smiles. We'll agree to e-signing. And then you can click start signing to go through line by line and review everything. What I'll do for us though is just click sign all to knock it all out in the click of a button and replace that whole process of printing out, signing, scanning, uploading, downloading, emailing, printing, signing, scanning again, all done in just seconds. The policyholder will receive an email, so they've got all these signed documents. They'll also be available to you in the platform in case you need to go reference anything in the future. And then final step is to make payment. We do accept credit, debit, or ACH. I will call out here, there are some additional payment fees. They're charged by our payment vendor. And so I just don't want to catch anyone by surprise. Card fees are about 3%, whereas ACH fees generally, they'll be about $5 for monthly, or sorry, for quarterly and annual installments. I think it's about $1.50 for monthly installments. To finish it out, we'll just enter in the policyholder's account information and then agree. Auto pay is automatically turned on. To disable auto pay is as easy as switching the toggle, but I would recommend keeping it on. It definitely does help retention to have it turned on. So then
Dan,
we'll click complete transaction.
are there any proprietary property and GL enhancements to the bot?
No, they're nothing proprietary. There are several enhancements to both that are available, but it's all 100% ISO language. So really good question. Now you can see here we've actually bound this policy. We've got the invoice number back. If we go back into the platform, you'll see that this updates for us as we go along. And so the policy's actually already been issued in just a few seconds. We can click into view policy details to go and review the policy page. And I actually hear from a lot of service teams, this is their number one favorite page in the whole platform. It just gives you access to a lot of important information and sets you up to do some kind of important housekeeping work and make it quick and easy too. So you can always review things like their limits, contact information. You can make updates if we just need to change the phone number or the name or the mailing address. You can click view schedule to see their payment schedule, to see exactly when each payment will be due and how much it will be for. It shows you whether auto pay is on or not. Quick note about that. That feature actually got added because of a comment someone made in one of these webinars asking, can I see if auto pay is turned on or not? We love that comment so much, we took it back to the team, and within a couple days, they set it up so that we could. So keep that feedback coming. We know that we're building the best insurance company in the world together, not just by us sitting in our offices, ignoring all the feedback that you have. You can also download those policy documents. If someone has questions about what actually, like what details are actually about their business on the policy, you can answer those questions as well, just to kind of know what it's reflecting. And then one last feature to show off here, under the quick actions tool, you can click send payment reminder and actually just send them an automated payment reminder if they have an upcoming installment that's due. That's the one thing I hear from a lot of service teams that they just absolutely love. And so it always takes a little bit longer with me narrating along the way with the system throwing little hooks our way, but we got through it together, right? And we got that quoted, bound, and issued in just a few minutes. So next, I'll show you a few of the accounts that we've written recently. I think these just do a good job kind of illustrating where the opportunity to work together is. We did an electronics retailer in Texas. We're actually really strong right now on electronics retailers. They can sell computers, they could sell miscellaneous electronics. We see a lot of cell phone stores actually. And we can offer a great policy with no theft exclusions or sublimits. This one, they were actually able to replace a non-renewal with an admitted bot policy in less than 10 minutes. We did a convenience store in South Carolina. They had the 1 mil, 2 mil GL, 75,000 in BPP. They were actually able to complete that quote in 6 minutes and get a quote back on a convenience store.
Hey Dan, what if they sold gas too?
Oh, if they sell gas, that's no problem. There is one additional underwriting guideline that comes up. They have to have at least 3,000 square feet of interior store area. And that's because we technically don't write gas stations, but we do write convenience stores with gas sales. Where's that distinction? It's actually the size of the store.
Yeah, and the NAICS drives that. So,
Mhm.
but it's one of our biggest classes. We write tons of them.
Yep. And then I'll like to include this other one too. I think a lot of times people see the way we work and they say, oh, I'll knock out $750 policies through this all day long. But the reality is it can handle some larger ones as well. We did a seafood restaurant in Georgia, 1 mil, 2 mil GL, 1 mil, 2 mil liquor liability, about $1 million in property. And they also were able to go through and really use some of those coverage enhancements and optional coverages to build something, that really tailor fit that specific business and their concerns.
Yeah, we've had some big restaurants come through recently too. I think over the
Mhm.
last week or two, we had a 25K one. We're really starting to hit our stride with restaurants as well. And our agents are submitting some really great risks. So excited to see what this crew can do too.
And then maybe most important slide here. So I will leave this up for another few minutes in case you want to screenshot this or copy down any of this contact information. But you've got a whole team at MGT that's here to support you. There's me for sure. If you haven't heard enough of my voice this afternoon, feel free to give me a call anytime. Annalise is going to be a fantastic resource for you. She is one of your main advocates here. And as you start to work with us and run quotes, you'll definitely hear from her. We've got an underwriting team, we've got a customer support team. They both are very responsive to emails, they're available by phone. We've got the instant message chat support, and we've got Amy, who we already met earlier in the presentation as well.
We got every time we talk about Annie, I want to talk about my Amy fan art. But I need to not distract. We've got several questions here. First of all, Tyler was talking about some errors that he was getting. Uh, we're a tech, insure tech company. We're a neo insure, right? Like we're building the latest and greatest technology. It's not going to be perfect every time, y'all. Most of the time, it does work pretty well. But if this happens, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. I dropped my email address, jason@mgtinsurance.com. Send me a quick screenshot, and we've got a team that works on polish, is what we call it, but improving bugs, making the experience better. They work on it all day long, every single day. So send those our way. Send them to Dan. Send them to me. Send them to anybody on this list, and we'll make sure that they get addressed. So thank you for calling that out, Tyler. Paul asked, "What is the max liquor to overall sales percentage, Dan?"
Classic insurance answer here. It depends. So it's really driven by the type of restaurant. Anything up to 25% will generally instant quote for you in the platform. Between 25 and 50, just depending on what kind of restaurant it is. Again, it may instant quote or it may refer so that the underwriting team can review that risk and make sure it's something we'll be a good fit for.
But either way, we can consider up to 50%.
Yep, up to
So
50%.
send those in and we'll take a look at them. We love restaurants here. And then Alex asked, restaurants with frame building, do they have to be sprinklered?
They don't. No. So it's kind of funny. There's actually like a balance to find with sprinklers because they do prevent buildings from burning down. But sometimes they do break and flood too. So where's that balance? We think we've found a pretty comfortable way to underwrite them, and long story short is we can accept them with or without sprinklers.
And one of the things that's fun with working with us, y'all, and you'll see as we grow over time, we have the actuarial knowledge partnered with data scientists who are running calculations on that kind of stuff all the time to figure out where we're best priced, what we want to admit, all sorts of different things. And I actually just talked to one of our data scientists about this exact question that you're talking about the other day, Dan, and he was so excited. I've never met anybody from outside the insurance industry get so excited about whether or not sprinklers are actually a loss cost driver or a reduction. So it's we got a really good crew working on exactly those kind of things all of the time.
And so we are right at time now. Now, I will keep the floor open for another minute or two. If anybody has any last minute questions, get those out. If you do walk away thinking, oh, there's just one on the tip of my tongue, feel free to use this contact info and ask those questions to us. We'll be happy to work with you as well. But not seeing any other questions come in through the chat. So I guess we'll wrap up.
Yeah,
Um,
and real quick before you do, Dan, I just want to shout out what you're already saying, some of what it is that you've emphasized. Here at MGT, the independent agent is our primary focus. We don't sell direct to insureds. We don't have captive agents. We work strictly through the independent agent channel. And what supports that even further is that all of the front of house operations, like when you reach out through chat and the service team, when you talk to Dan and myself here on a webinar, when you talk to our relationship managers, when you go through the onboarding process, we're all unified together so that we can create one seamless experience and take care of you all along the way. So if you reach out to chat, just know that that's our team too. Contact us in any way. And our goal always is to make sure that you've got the best experience ever because you're our customer. You're the only ones that we work through. And we're building this place to satisfy everything you and your insureds need. So I've lasted an extra couple of moments for questions, but I guess they're not coming.
well, yeah, the one question that didn't come in that I'm a little surprised about because it comes in almost every week. Someone will ask, "What does MGT stand for?" Depends on who you ask, but this afternoon I think it stood for Mighty Good Time. I know I've had one. I hope you have too. Thanks so much for taking some time for us. Hope you've enjoyed the corny jokes along the way. If you like the show, jump into the platform, run a couple of quotes. Let me know I did a good job. You can also email Jason. He put his contact information in the chat. Let him know I did a good job. And other than that, thanks again so much for taking some time for us this afternoon. We're really excited to be working with you and look forward to see what we can accomplish together.
Have a great day, everybody.